All right, we're live.
Hello, and welcome to the resurrection of the Dizzy Bat podcast on this Easter Sunday.
Yeah,
How are you, Dan?
resurrected.
How are you, Dan?
Oh, I'm great. How are you enjoying your Easter Sunday?
Pretty good. Just woke up, got ready for this podcast, took a shower, and ready to go.
Woke up and ready to work.
Ready to work, do work. So, we're gonna go back to our usual talk about NBA, pop culture, kind of bite off Grantland a little bit as we usually do.
Yep.
So I guess we'll get started with Dan. What are your impressions of the NBA season so far? We've got about 12 to 15 games to go, depending on the squad. So, what are your impressions?
Well, I think my big impression right now is that I think the Kings are going to win 4 more games. For those who don't know, Arjun and I have a over/under bet going between the two of us. So it's all between the Magic, Kings, and Mavericks. I need the Magic to lose, and he needs the Magic or the Mavs and Kings to lose.
Yeah.
But besides that, I think the Warriors. I've recently watched a full game of them against the Blazers, and I was just amazed at how ridiculously good they are. I think that they are definitely making it to the conference finals, and I think they are definitely I think they're a championship favorite right now. They looked great.
Yeah, the Warriors have been incredible, and I don't even know why James Harden is in the discussion for MVP when Steph Curry is doing amazing things on the floor. Just talk about Steph Curry for a little bit while I pull up a video.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, Steph has really stepped up his game this season. He's been, I feel like the fancy dribbles and passes that he's done, before they were sort of risky, but now he seems to pull them off. He's had greater control of the ball. His scoring is just ridiculous. He has, he'll pull up, he'll do a crazy crossover and just nail a three like he did against the Clippers a few weeks ago. And it makes the Warriors really entertaining. They are a much better team with him as their point guard. You still pulling up the clip?
I got the clip up while you were talking.
Sweet.
It's incredible. Bam! Steph Curry. Yeah, it's unbelievable what Steph Curry's been doing. I think another big surprise is from the Eastern Conference, believe it or not, and it is a Northeastern team in the Eastern Conference. It's the Boston Celtics, who now have the 8th spot in the East and are battling it out for the 7th spot.
Yeah,
Unbelievable what Brad Stevens has been able to do in New England this winter. Unfortunately for me, it is Boston that's once again triumphing over my pathetic New York team. So,
yeah. Well, actually, what do you think? Because there's just the recent development. Paul George is coming back today. Do you think that gives the Pacers a chance to sneak into the playoffs?
It obviously gives them a chance, but I don't get why. Why not take that lottery pick, save PG-24 for next year, and just go at it next year? You're going to be a favorite in the East next year with the squad, and if you could get, a good serviceable... imagine if they could get, Kaminsky or something like that next year. Kaminsky will fall to them, and they could pick him up, a scorer, a guy that could complement George, a guy that could hit from the outside. I mean, David West doesn't have outside shooting. He's got that, 12-foot jumper. Hibbert can't shoot.
Yeah.
So, getting, a big guy that can shoot a little bit next year, along with Paul George and George Hill and a few other guys, would be great.
Yeah, I don't get the bringing him back either because they have 10 games left, if that, and he's not going to be in the shape for these last few games, so he's going to maybe play probably terribly, just like Derrick Rose did when he first came back, and you may not even make the playoffs. So what the point is to get reps? You'll get reps in the off season and preseason.
Yeah, it's very even Derrick Rose coming back. It makes no sense to me. I understand these owners are paying the players millions and millions of dollars, but you got to think a little bit long term here. And messing around with Paul George at this point is not good for the Pacers. No, not a good idea. We've seen this story where people come back too early, get hurt. I mean, KD right now, D Rose right now,
Mhm.
even Kobe for a little bit. I mean, he's old, so it doesn't really count. But still, he came back, rushed it a little bit, and now look, Steve Nash rushed it a little bit. Now he's retired. Now he's like
Yeah.
watching Vancouver Whitecaps games of the MLS. Like, what is going on there? Like, so
No, yeah, that's that basically ended his career was those injuries in the Lakers season and just trying to come back from them.
so it seems pointless to have guys come back. Like, I can understand the Thunder trying to get KD back because they could win a championship this year, but everybody else, I don't see that happening.
Yeah, the Pacers, let's say George comes back, plays great, and they get into the 8 or maybe the 7 seed. They're going to face Atlanta or Cleveland. They're going to lose, even with Paul George.
Yeah, exactly. And just the risk of injury, it's not worth it. So yesterday, the final 4 games, I watched almost every single minute.
I watched every minute of Duke and Michigan State. That was a smackdown by Duke.
Yeah, I mean, Duke has a couple of guys that I think will be real. Okafor, I think, is going to be a stud of the league. I
He's
think
gonna be
Okafor,
really good.
Okafor is going to be really good. He will be, my bold prediction, he will have a better NBA career than Boogie Cousins. That's my bold prediction right now. Like,
Wow.
I feel like he has the offensive sort of movement that Boogie Cousins does, but he seems to, like, play a lot smarter than Boogie does. So I think Okafor will have a better NBA career than Boogie Cousins. I like Justice Winslow's game.
Mhm.
Justice Winslow reminds me a lot of, like, this is going to be unpopular, but I think he could have, like, a Paul Pierce type of career in the league. Like, dude can score, he gets the hoop, and there's nothing flashy about him. But, I mean, I love Justice Winslow.
Yeah, he seems a bit more athletic than Paul Pierce, which is like that's like a slightly. And I do think Okafor is going to be good, especially because you could tell he's a bit pudgy. He's a bit pudgy right now, but that's fine. You know, he'll get to the NBA. He'll have conditioners. He'll have nutritionists. He's going to get. So imagine him even faster, more athletic.
I
That's
mean,
gonna be really good.
as a 5, being pudgy isn't the worst. Look at Marc Gasol. Marc Gasol is pudgy as hell. There's a couple of 5s that are just
Yeah, but I can imagine. Like I think the athleticism though, and added athleticism will benefit Okafor's game more. Whereas Marc Gasol, he doesn't necessarily need athleticism to succeed. I think it's just Eddie. It's going to be a benefit to kind of slim down and have more explosiveness.
Absolutely. I mean, I hope on the Michigan State side, I really didn't see any NBA guys there. Like, to be honest, there was no one that stood out to me all tournament, all season long. Michigan State seemed to be like a very solid college team without any NBA guys on their roster. So I watched the entire Kentucky-Wisconsin game. It was a great game. I personally was rooting for Kentucky because of my brackets, but it was nice to see Wisconsin win.
I was shocked because by the result. I heard about it. I didn't get the chance to watch the game. I watched some highlights this morning, and when I had someone say that Wisconsin won, I was shocked. I really was. This Kentucky team was dominant.
Yeah, I mean, the refs for this game deserve an absolute F-. The refs were pathetic this game. There was a play where I believe it was a Wisconsin player got elbowed in the neck, and they reviewed it, and they didn't call it flagrant on it, and it was like clearly on purpose. And then on the other end, a Wisconsin player made a basket with like the shot clock going off, and they counted it.
Oh yeah, I saw that, and also I saw there was a couple of like towards the end of the game there was just charges. That Kentucky drew. That was like it's just Wisconsin players just falling back. That's all.
The refs are absolutely horrible. The Harrison twins got a couple of crappy calls on them. I think it was Andrew Harrison who might have had like a few bad calls.
Oh, speaking of the Harrisons, did you hear the comments of one of the Harrison brothers?
Dan, why don't
after
you
the game against?
Dan, why don't you quote it?
I'm not gonna quote it. I can't believe. Well, I think it's sort of funny.
Well, it's not even. He said it like under his breath. It was just frustration. It was a sign. I would take it as respect, man. It was just like, damn, man, that motherfucker. Like, I would take it as respect. Like, Kaminsky killed him. Like, he killed him all game, and like, you know, he's a friggin' 20-year-old kid. Like, has the whole world watching him, and some dude just like beat him after no one's beat him all year. Like, It's not a big deal.
Yeah, and I think if anything, Frank Kaminsky should be feel like that's a compliment.
Exactly.
To be called that word by a black guy.
Yeah, I mean, the Kaminsky, I think, is going to be a good NBA player. And he was playing D. That's the thing. Towns had a little problem posting on Kaminsky, and Kaminsky is strong. He's stronger than he looks. He played good.
I think that's the big thing that scouts are questioning because they know he can shoot, they know he can handle the ball, but that's the big thing is defense. It seems like with a lot of college players, some good college players like Adam Morrison, you'll have guys who flame out, and you wonder if that skill level. Yes, he's the most dominant college player, but is that going to translate? But if he can play defense, like you were saying, then they'll do well.
But another thing, I don't see. Here's the thing: with a 24-second shot clock, you kind of don't have time to whip the ball around a few times in the hopes that you get a dude cutting, Kaminsky cuts all the time, or you could get Kaminsky open for a three in the corner. That sort of ball movement, there's not time with a 24-second shot clock.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think he might struggle a little bit just getting shots up. Because a lot of their offense was predicated on pass, bore the defense a little bit, and then hit a cutting Kaminsky, hit a cutting Decker, set a screen, guys popping open for a three. I think that sort of offense might not work in the NBA. We'll have to see. He's gonna have to develop a mid-range game of some sort, sort of like a pick and pop mid-range game a little bit. I think. See what he does.
Sure.
So we'll see how he does. Can you imagine he's gonna have to figure out a way to beat Anthony Davis off the dribble or something. He's gonna have to play the four, if not I guess he could play a three.
That's high expectations.
Yeah,
Anthony
exactly.
Davis was amazing.
Going into the league, it's a totally different ball game, right? So we'll see how he does there. I like Decker. I hate Decker's face, but I like Decker's game. Sam Decker, great. He plays well. You can tell he's competitive. He's going to be in the league too. That Wisconsin team has a couple of good guys on it.
Yeah, it should be a very interesting championship game. Who do you got in Wisconsin and Duke?
I got Duke. I think Wisconsin's journey ends in the finals. I just think Duke can sort of. They won't get rattled. They play a lot of huge games in the ACC. You play North Carolina State, Syracuse, Pitt, bunch of big programs in the ACC.
And they played Wisconsin and Michigan State earlier this year.
Yeah, yep, and they beat Wisconsin. I think they throttled them, I believe. Mm-hmm. So playing in the SEC where Kentucky comes from, you don't really play that many big games. You got Florida maybe as your big team that you play all year. Florida, Kentucky, that might be a big SEC basketball matchup. But
it was a down year for Florida.
Yeah, it was a down year for Florida. So Duke's tested. They play the big games. They play in the football arenas. They play in the big Madison Square Garden games. They do those things. So I think they'll be ready coming out.
Yeah. And I mean, if their defense plays like they did against Michigan State, they were forcing so many turnovers. Michigan State looked rattled. I think that it should be a really good game. I mean, I was hoping Kentucky Duke, that would have been an awesome game, but I think this will still be a really good one.
Yeah, yep. I mean, moving on to a different sport, Dan. What are your thoughts of the Major League Baseball season? Just kidding. No one gives a crap about baseball. All right, now let's move to Mad Men. Okay, moving on to Mad Men. Today's the season finale. The first episode of the final leg.
Yeah.
Of the final season.
It's the stupid. I mean, the reason they do these splitting one season into two parts, really, it's the main thing is that with the payment for all the directors and actors, they can always say, you don't get a bump for season 6 because it's technically second part of season 5. I feel like that's a big reason they do that. But
I mean, whatever. I'm sure it's all about the dollar. Whatever reason they do it, it's just to maximize that.
Yeah.
That dollar.
It's interesting. I would almost ask, what are your expectations for this season? But the thing that Mad Men has consistently done is that it just goes in directions that you just don't expect. So I have no idea how this show is going to end, how the season premiere is going to go. Like, because last we left it, the Cooper had died, and there was the moon landing. So it had taken it to that's July of '69, I believe. It was the summer of '69. Are they going to go into the '70s? Who knows? I think they might. Do you think they'll go into the '70s?
I think they will. I mean, there's no reason for them not to. There's no reason for them not to sort of just have a new setting. It's really easy. It can eat up some episodes where they like bring in some Coke episodes and stuff like that. It'll eat up some time.
Do you think any other characters will die? Will Don die? Will he I don't know, drink himself to death or something?
No. Who do I think will die? I think that Pete Campbell will die.
Pete Campbell, yeah.
Pete Campbell will commit suicide. That is my prediction.
Ooh, you're going to go the Price, the Lane Price route.
Lane Price route. Pete Campbell will commit suicide. That's my bold prediction. And then, yeah, I mean that's my prediction for the season. I don't know. I mean, like even like I was thinking like however it ends, we're still watching a show about an office. Like, how can it end? Like, oh, they got the deal. Like, what is it gonna end? Like, oh, they sold the company. Like,
they've everything. I feel like every sort of major office thing that could have happened has already happened. They already formed. They broke off and formed their own agency. They've merged with other agencies.
They've got clients. They've lost clients. Like, whatever. Like, I'll watch it just because it's gonna be a great show. I've watched it since what ninth grade? Not ninth grade. Freshman year of college. So just continue watching. I'm highly vested in this show already. So just let it go.
What would you say were maybe like favorite episode of the show?
My favorite episode of the show. I love the flashback parts where Don goes back to childhood. I love those. Like anytime they flash back to Don's childhood, I love those parts. Of it.
Well, I'll say one episode that I remember stood out for me. I think it was season 3. It's where Don and Lane Price are hanging out, I think around Christmas, and they just get drunk together and have a good time. And that was just such a funny episode because Lane at that point was such like this, stuck, like with his carrot up his ass or something. He was really uptight, and you just saw him like having fun and just getting drunk. It was hilarious.
It's funny because I've been watching the Sopranos lately. Like I'm on the final season, probably 4 or 5 episodes into the final season, and I never watched it when it was out. So I'm watching it for the first time. And I think Matthew Weiner also was a writer on the Sopranos.
He was, yes, yeah.
Yep. So it's funny, like in Mad Men, there are a lot of scenes where like they'll sort of go out drinking with figurative dead men walking. So like like a guy's gonna get fired like in a couple of days. They'll go out, have a good time. Guy will get fired, they'll lose a client, XYZ, and it's a figurative dead man walking. When you watch those same scenes in The Sopranos, where they have them with these guys that they're literal dead men walking.
They're gonna kill them. Yeah,
those guys are dead. So I thought it was pretty interesting to see the dichotomy between the two Matthew Weiner projects, although. Sopranos wasn't his project, but he built it, right? So
and obviously, I'm sure David Chase was the influence on Weiner and how to run a show and how he created Mad Men.
Yeah, absolutely. So Game of Thrones is coming back. Are you all caught up on Game of Thrones?
I have. This is the amount of episodes. I've watched the first 2 episodes of the first season, and I watched the most recent season finale at a viewing party. So that is my knowledge of Game of Thrones. I do know, like, just because I follow pop culture and I have friends who watch the show, I know various spoiler things. I know Ned Stark is killed. I know there's a red wedding. A lot of people get killed at that. I know Peter Dinklage killed his dad in the most recent finale. There's other stuff going on. I just haven't had a chance to watch this show that much. What are you excited about it?
I'm excited for Littlefinger to make a comeback. Now, if you aren't familiar with Littlefinger, he's like this brothel owner, pimp, /spy,
and he's played by Mayor Carcetti from The Wire.
You're right. Yep, exactly. Played by, I forgot his name exactly.
Aidan Gillen, I believe is.
Aidan Gillen, you're right. Absolutely. Yep. So I'm excited for Littlefinger to sort of make. He's my favorite character of the whole show. He's like a sneaky little pimp, like literally sneaky little like Secretary of State pimp. Like, he's great.
Sounds like a good position to have.
Pretty good position to have, and yeah. So he's one of my favorite characters, and I'm excited for him to sort of play a bigger role in this season. I like the side characters that are kind of clawing up the ladder more than like the actual people that are playing for the throne. Those guys bore me. It's like, all right, whatever. Like, you guys are doing the same crap all over again. Like, so yeah.
Fantastic.
So let's get back to the NBA. I wanted to talk about this Twitter beef between Kevin Durant and Bill Simmons. Bill Simmons right now. Bill Simmons is going on and on still, like 3 years later, about the Harden trade, and Kevin Durant finally tweeted him back and said, "Just let it go." So this brings me
Maybe
to.
he was talking about the song. We don't know that.
So this brings me to a point that I think I've expressed to you lately, but Bill Simmons is starting to wear on me a little bit. You know, like I think he's moved to Los Angeles, been there for a little bit, and now he's gotten a little too big for his britches. I don't know. What do you think?
He definitely, like, you know, you kind of read some of his columns through the lens of him just humble bragging and dropping names and all that sort of stuff. And when you read it through that lens, he can come off as pretty arrogant. I remember it was when he was on TV on the NBA show, he made some comment. It's like, oh, I get to talk now after like a couple of the other panelists got to talk after a NBA Finals game. It's a bit arrogant, but I do think Simmons still sometimes is at least entertaining. The podcast is still great, the BS Report, and Grantland is got a lot of good writers on it.
Yeah. So he is a visionary, right? So Bill Simmons is absolutely a visionary. He kind of was the first big sports blogger, first big internet sports columnist.
Well, actually, did you listen? His most recent podcast, he goes into it. He says it's going to be a 15-minute talk, but it ends up being 40, where he talks about like how he worked his way to ESPN.com. I don't know if you have a chance to listen to that.
No, who was it on? Bill Don't Lie?
No, it was on the BS Report. It was released on Friday. It was basically he talks for like just straight telling a story for about 40 minutes.
Really?
No one else, and then Wesley Morris comes on for like the second half of the podcast.
Oh, I think I didn't listen to it because it had Wesley Morris on it. Wesley Morris bores me. So I was like, I'm not listening to Wesley Morris.
No, listen to the first part. It is really interesting. He does go into detail about how he just slowly worked his way up, how he was bartending when he was, doing the column, how he sort of reached out to AOL and said, oh, you should have a Boston sports guy, and I should be that person, all that stuff.
Pretty good. I mean, of course, I told you, he's a visionary. He hires really, really good writers. Right. We don't know if they're necessarily smart. We just know that they write with big words.
Yeah.
So, about a lot of BS. And funny people, too. Like, I think the Triangle is hilarious. I think a lot of their podcasts are funny. He picked up a great producer in David Jacoby, who does a lot of funny things. So, props to Bill Simmons for being a visionary. But please, if you're listening to this, Bill, let go of the Harden trade, right? And just drop those name drops a little bit. Just drop it a little bit. Like, I know.
Yeah, roll it back a teensy.
How would you compare and contrast you and Reggie Love to Simmons and House?
Bill is here. And that was where he drops. And then, yeah, so anything you want to talk about here?
I think we touched all the bases. We covered our NBA. We covered our college basketball. Mad Men's coming back. Pretty psyched for that. I don't know. Like I would talk about Better Call Saul. I am a few episodes behind though. So.
Oh, me too. I'm a few episodes. I have only watched 2 episodes of Better Call Saul. I'm waiting for the season to get over, and then I'll watch it.
And then you'll binge it. God, that's a good move to do.
Yeah. Like. So, all right. Why don't we record a podcast after the Mad Men season premiere?
Sounds great. We will discuss a date and time not on a live podcast when we'll record next.
Okay.
And we'll get back to people shortly to talk about Mad Men and any other developments that happen in the sports or pop culture world.
All right. Happy birthday, Molly. Bye.
Bye.